Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show this evening. My name is Wendell Elamine James. I have a guest tonight, Mr. Glenn Bailey, which will be here shortly. I want to give a little insight and information of this program. This program is a program designed for long-time offenders coming home from prison. I would like to call them returned citizens to society, coming back into the communities after long periods in prison. We have this program because we want society and the community to know who these people are coming back into their communities. These people have been gone for long periods of time, has gone into Department of Correction and Rehabilitation, and have paid their debt to society, and they're back in their communities. These people have spent a significant amount of time in prison, and they are back to allow society to know who they are, where they been, and what took them the time and the effort to come home back to society. So we like to bring in Mr. Bailey and allow him to give a little information about himself and allow people to know who he is and what he intends to do with the rest of his life in society as a taxpayer, as a citizen, amongst his community. So we want to bring Mr. Bailey in and allow him to elaborate on who he is, what he plans to do with the rest of his life in society as a law-abiding citizen, and give a little insight on who he is and what he's doing with his life today. Welcome, Mr. Bailey.
Thank you, Wendell.
Welcome to the show. Thank you. Glad to have you.
Hey, my brother, it was a trip getting here, but I got here.
Yeah, that's the
And
main
I'm
thing. You
glad
got
to be
here.
here.
The main thing you got here. We want you not just about you into the bedrooms and the living rooms of society and your community to let them know that you were once confined in the Department of Correctional Rehabilitation for a period of time, and you went into the system some time ago.
I went into the system about 53, 54 years ago. I have over 50 years in the system.
In the system. Okay. You went to prison as a young man.
I was very young. In fact, I have over, 2/3 of my life
Okay.
in the prison system, in one prison or another. And when I went this last time, I did almost 42 years, and until then I did 2 or 3 years at a time on installment. And then I start. Once you get, if you it's like a fighter, you keep getting hit with one punch, you fool around and say, "Hey, this is not the way you want."
Right.
So I said, well, and when I got off into this joke, I started having ideas about that this wasn't a life, the old thing, you didn't try it 1,000 times. I didn't make no mistakes. I just found out the wrong way to do things. And I spent the rest of my time really trying to get myself acclimated. So when I do get back with society, because I was told 28 times by the prison board, that I would never get out. And I was determined to get out because I didn't go to prison to die. And being consistent with my program, they eventually say, "Hey, said, man, you not quit every program you went to." I said, "No, I haven't quit. I graduated because I didn't have any disciplinaries."
Right.
And then they kind of said, "Well, we got to let you go."
So let me ask you one question. You say 28 times. You went from the Board of Prison term 28 times?
I went 29 times.
29 times.
The 29th time they gave me, let me out.
Is that right? Okay.
But the 28th time they told me, denial. Well, what happened was when the 1 year denials came in all in a row, it came in after I got my date to be released in 1982. Well, I had a co-defendant that wasn't my co-defendant. It was somebody they framed me with. Well, 10 years later, they found out he was innocent. They cut him loose, and
Excuse me one second. One thing. Wait a minute. You had a co-defendant that they gave you,
right.
and he did a significant amount of time,
He did 10 years.
and they found out that he was not part of your.
Right.
Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Everything I say here is documented by the state of California and many, many judges.
Okay.
Anyway, when they took my date, well, I had a date, but when I wouldn't cooperate with them to get them who they thought the real person were, after they done kept this innocent man for 10 years, I just shut it up and just started doing time. And just said, well, I'd be a man if nothing else.
Right, right, right.
And that's what I did. And, well, I spent 10 years at San Quentin Ranch. Then I spent, well, I might be getting ahead of myself. Before they took my date, they enhanced me 17 years for priors. And when I got them priors down, before I got the priors down, I went to San Quentin Ranch because I was -0 point-wise. And so they put me at the ranch, then I went to the firehouse, and finally they said, well, you know what, we're just going to take the man's date. So they took the date. I was 90 days from doing the 2/3 of the 17 years enhancement. And I was called myself getting ready to come home. They called me to the board. I said, oh, they been let me out now. They took me to the board. They took my date, and they said I had a dirty marijuana test. And what I just had 4 wisdom teeth pulled, and I was full of Novocaine. And when I get back to the firehouse, they gave me the urine test, and it had the Novocaine in it, but it didn't make any difference what I had in me with any kind of results or whatever, you know. And I apologize. Anyway, they took the date, and I really apologize for that because I was rushing in here. I was rushing.
Yeah.
Well, they took the date and sent me to Solana. And I had 21 years in then. And they sent me to Solana, and when I did the other 21 years.
So you did 21 years in Solano?
And 21 in San Quentin.
Okay.
Well, it was a little bit less, because I did a little less than 42 years.
Okay.
But it wasn't too much less.
Right.
You know?
Okay. Okay. So you did 21 years in San Quentin. You did little less than 21 years in Solano.
Mm-hmm.
And you, in the period of you doing your time in prison, you know, like I said, you went in as a young man, and you came out at what age are you now?
Well, when I came out, I was 70. I'm 75 now. Well, 71. I'm 75 now.
75 now. Okay. So coming home in the period of time that you've done in prison, what along the way did you feel, or did you realize that you had to do something different?
Well, when I came home, I had so much family support and friends support when I came home that I just sit down for 3 years till I did my parole. I was determined to acclimate myself with my family, with my friends, and before I come out and start talking to anyone, I want to be sure if I had anything to say,
Right.
or if I really felt like I could stand behind what I say. Well, when I come home, I got to talking to a lady that want to write my book, and different things were coming across my mind, and I started remembering back to all the people I saw in prison, and the families. I mean, 2 or 3 brothers here, 2 or 3 brothers at a time, family in prison. I said, you know, something got to be did, and if I can't do nothing, at least I'll tell my story, and hey, I got a story. You know?
I know you do. I know you do. You have a story.
Yeah, and I was determined that I was going to do the rest of my life in society, and so my writer asked me, said, "What you want to write the title of your book?" I said, "A Life at Large." She said, "A Life at Large." I said, "A Life at Large," because see, I've been guilty of a lot of things. I was guilty when I went to prison. The guy with me was innocent, but I did everything the law prescribed or subscribed, and when I did that and they still didn't let me go, then I started looking for other angles. But there's no angles. If you want to come out of that prison, there's no angle. What you got to do is get your program going and get your viable program, and most of all, show a disciplinary-free. Well, you don't be just a yard bomb. You know, you don't be hanging around the building and just messing with people. You go out and get your program. And if you don't get your no program, at least try to stay disciplinary free. Well, I'm the kind of guy that even now I try to work because I've never been one that just want to sit down.
Right.
And so, hey, I'm here, my brother. And I don't know what I could tell people, what I could do, but I know I'd be first in line to volunteer for what I know and what I have to offer.
Right, right. Well, this, like I told the audience at the beginning of the show, this program is a program designed for long-time offenders coming home from prison. We want society to understand and know. You know, we went, the life as a long-time offender, lady and men, went into society, that society, because this is society within the society itself.
That's correct.
Look at everything that they have out here. They got the Bank of America, you know, the trust office. You got the canteen, Safeway, you know, the clinic, you know, that's Kaiser Hospital. Got everything in there they got on the street. And I want people to know that people went inside and did their time. They paid the debt to society for whatever crime they committed. And they got found suitable. You don't just go in front of the board of prison term and get found suitable.
Oh, no, I went 29 times.
Right, you got to go in front of the board of prison term, and they have to make sure that whatever crime that you committed is not going to ever happen again.
That's correct.
Before they sign their name on that paper. And once they sign the name on the paper, they have to make positive, absolutely sure that it ain't going to happen again. You got a time before you go in front of the full board, then you got to go in front of the governor before they say, solid, we're going to let them go.
Yeah.
Right? So we want the communities, society to know that you went into the system. You rehabilitated yourself. They didn't do it. They didn't do it. You had to get up and go to these groups. You had to go to whatever program that you went to. You had to do it yourself willingly to go at a certain time and leave at a certain time and handle yourself, carry yourself in an upstanding, right way in prison. Because you only have how many write-ups you have in 42 years?
I mean, what?
How many write-ups you
I
have?
had 2.
You got 2 write-ups in 42 years. Unheard of. Unheard. That don't happen. You know, because you got people as counseling at you on getting you some kind of way off balance. So that's unheard of. You got 2 write-ups in 42 years. So we want the community, the society to know, the viewers to know that this man went into society one way, he came out another way. He came out wanting to give something back to society, back to his community. You know, he has a story to tell. You know, he's been on every side it is in prison. You know, he has a story to tell. He wants to come home and tell society, tell the viewers, tell his community who he is today, what he did. He did that. He didn't say that once that he didn't do it. But he wants to make sure that society knows that he's back in society. He's a taxpayer, he's a citizen, and he has remorse. For the rest of his life, he'll make amends for the rest of his life. His amends is telling people his story, telling people who he is today, telling them what not to do to keep him going to the place where he's been. It's on you.
Well, when I was sitting in prison, I was thinking about, you know, we have a small society in prison. You know, in San Quentin at the time, it was probably 3,500 people. And it was very violent. It was violent. It was extremely violent. It was a lot of racial, a lot of violence inside of races, because you had Crips, Bloods, and you get 15 blacks together, you got 16 gangs. 15 mixing together, same thing. Well, we learned to live together in that prison without killing each other after a while, without killing each other, fighting each other, and we started respecting each other. And I got to thinking, I said, you know what? We can show the people in society how to live together, because you got this great big old community out here, all this space, and you mean to tell me you just got to go out of your way to kill somebody and get killed? And now I don't know what the people's getting killed about or why, but I know that this morning in Oakland, California, a guy was shooting at somebody and shot 3 people that didn't have nothing to do with it. So then I thought again. And then he said, oh, I remember when I was a youngster, remember when my parents were disciplining me and telling me what to do or how to do whatever. And when I said discipline, I do not mean punishing me. I do not mean abusing me. I mean that my family used to tell me, said, sit over there, boy, and be quiet and listen. And I sit over there and I listen. I listened to the old folks. They were drinking their whiskey, they drinking their wine, dancing, having fun. But I was listening. And what they was doing was preparing me to go out to the streets. Well, I didn't go to stay on the streets because I really didn't hear them till later on. But what I did do when I did go to the streets, I was prepared to take care of myself. I could cook, wash, iron, and sew. All that is being disciplined.
Right.
Now, because you have something to keep you at home, something to do. And then when you get to prison, you have them options that you can't have no more. You have them options you cannot use anymore. You have them options that really never were, especially once they put the handcuffs on you. And so you said, well, let me study then, because I don't have Joe Blow coming by taking me for a ride or drinking wine or smoking the dope or shooting the dope or any ladies. What you had was a chance to read a book, and I have a whole lot of books, cowboy books, easy reading books. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be no psychiatrist or philosopher.
Right.
You just have to be easy reading, keep the mind going, and if you keep the mind going, you're gonna come across something because you get wisdom from a cowboy.
That's right.
Yes. And hey man, I did that, and I managed to have other guys in the prison system doing that. And as far as what I'm doing, I do this every month. Once a month, I have a barbecue in my community for just a few people because I can't afford it. I'm still living on my disability Social Security retirement benefits. But I still do once a month. I have a barbecue, and I have 5, 6, 7 people there from the community and different convicts there, and we just sit and talk. Now, once a year, for the last 3 years, in Oakland, California, I've had a big barbecue in April, and that'd be 200, 300, 400 people. And I'm hoping somewhere out of them 300, 400 people, and them that started with them 2, 3, 4, 5, and them around the barbecue pit talking, that somewhere along the line we are communicating, get to talking, and we find the answer. I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer, but I know we need an answer.
Right. Right, definitely.
And I know that if you can find if anyone, I hear different little organizations say, well, the blueprint to life. There's no blueprint to life.
Right.
If it is, I haven't seen it.
Right.
When I was a youngster, I went to church every day. When I got to where I had my choice, I did not go to church. Now, I'm not saying anything against church, but a lot of times you find your religion or your belief or your faith in your friend or whatever, and whatever works for you. And what I did in prison, to make this statement, and I'm going to try to clarify it a little bit if I can, I read the Buddhists, I read about the Buddha, I read about the Hindus, I read about all the monks, the Protestant Catholic, and I just try to get me one little piece from each one of them. And for about 35 years, I walked around that prison talking to every race you had in prison, every religion you had in prison, because I did not hate. But by the same time, saying I did not hate don't mean that I was kind of a coward or nothing. It's just that, man, the world is too small to hate, and when you get as old as I am, and you got less years in front of you, you got behind you, you don't have time to hate.
That's right.
And that's why I'm here, brother.
That's right.
I don't know what I got to say, but I know y'all will find something in me.
Right.
Let me say, but I'll be there to whatever, to feed or help to feed the homeless or whatever, man. It don't make me no difference.
Well, Mr. Bailey, we want to thank you for coming on this show tonight. We wanted to have call-ins tonight, but the phone system is still down.
Yeah.
We're going to bring you back once you come back.
Okay.
Okay, because we want people to be able to call in and talk to you.
I would like that.
Yeah, people want to talk to you about your time in the system and you coming home and what you're doing now with your life. So we want to bring you back in a few weeks.
Okay.
In a month. It's
Okay.
going to make it in a month. It's going to be a few weeks.
Okay.
We'll bring you back and allow you to come on and talk about who you are and what you're doing with your life today.
Okay.
I see that stick over there in the corner there. Let me bring that stick over right quick. Give me that stick. That's a stick here. Give me a little brief on this stick right quick.
That stick there was a stick that my brother gave me when I came in from prison. And because I make sticks, and that's my hobby. And he gave me this stick because he said, look like me. He told me he got it from Africa. I don't know where he got it from.
Okay.
But I love it, and I get a lot of compliments about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I was at one of your picnics that you were just speaking of. I was at one of your picnics, and I saw you a couple of days later, and you gave me a stick.
Yes, sir.
You know, and that stick, it's a stick that I'll value for the rest of my life. You know, and I carry it. I keep it in my car. I carry it. So I'll value that stick for the rest of my life. And so we just want to thank the brother for coming on to the show tonight, and we want to commend him on what he's done with his life since he's been out, and what he continues to do with his life to this day for the rest of his life. So with that, we want to thank you, society. We want to thank you for allowing us to come into your homes tonight and allow us to give us to you this evening. So in a few weeks, we're gonna bring back Mr. Bailey. We had Mr. Kevin Cooper on a couple weeks ago, and we want to bring him back in a few weeks. We didn't have a phone system up. We want to bring him back so you can talk to him live on the show. So next week we'll have. I'm trying to get Mario Wood's mother on the show and allow her to come on and talk to the people in the households and in the homes and in the communities and give her feelings about her loss. So we want to make this show a show that we can turn on Thursday nights at 6:30 and enjoy the things that we're seeing. We're not just bringing anything on the show. We want people to turn on the television in the evening, prime time, and enjoy our show. So we want to thank you, Mr. Bailey, for coming on this evening, and stay tuned for our next show with Mr. Bailey. Thank you, and have a good night.
Thank you, my brother, and good night, everyone.